once apex predators, until humans erased them, an HFY Sci-Fi short story ***. The stars burned coldly in the void, indifferent to the lives beneath their gaze. On a remote planet, verdant and untamed, a species once thrived, creatures the size of buildings, with sleek, obsidian-black scales that shimmered faintly in the dim sunlight. They were known as the Kraloth, and for millennia, they dominated their world. No predator dared challenge them. Their razor-sharp talons could tear through steel-like vegetation, and their cunning intellect allowed them to outsmart even the most persistent prey. The Kraloth had no rivals, until humans arrived. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge of the stalwart Venture, gazing down at the planet below. The holographic display painted a vivid picture: towering mountain ranges, sprawling forests, and deep azure oceans. It was beautiful, but it was the Kraloth that held humanity's interest. "These creatures have survived extinction-level events," said Dr. Kiro Nakamura, the ship's xenobiologist, scrolling through pages of data. "They're the ultimate predators. If we could harness even a fraction of their resilience, it would revolutionize medicine and technology." Elena nodded, though unease churned in her gut. The Kraloth weren't just animals, they were intelligent. The data suggested advanced social structures, even rudimentary language patterns. But the order from Central Command was clear: study, harvest, and eliminate any threats to colonization efforts. The first encounter was swift and brutal. A Kraloth pack ambushed a scouting party, their sheer size and ferocity overwhelming the heavily armed humans. Only one soldier survived, her armor shredded, her voice trembling as she recounted the attack. "They weren't just fighting," she whispered, "they were coordinated, like they knew our weak points." In response, humanity escalated. Orbital strikes burned swathes of forest, and drones scoured the landscape with laser precision. The Kraloth adapted, retreating to the depths of the planet's jungles, but humanity's technology was relentless. As the weeks turned to months, Elena felt the weight of their campaign. She watched through monitors as the last of the Kraloth were driven to desperation. Mothers shielded their young with their bodies, only to be gunned down. Packs that once roamed freely now huddled in caves, their eyes dim with exhaustion. "They're nearly extinct," Dr. Nakamura reported one day, his tone almost clinical. "Just a handful left. Should we call off the hunt?" Elena hesitated. Every fiber of her being screamed that this was wrong, but the mission wasn't hers to question. "Finish it," she said, her voice hollow. The last Kraloth fell on a stormy night, its roar of defiance echoing across the battlefield as it succumbed to human firepower. Elena stood over its body, rain mingling with the blood that soaked the ground. "They weren't just predators," she murmured to herself, "they were kings, and we killed them." Dr. Nakamura approached, holding a data tablet. "We've gathered everything we need: their DNA, their behavior. This will change humanity's future." Elena stared at the corpse, her fists clenched. "And what have we lost in return?" Years later, humanity thrived on the Kralotha's world, its ecosystems reshaped to suit human needs. The Kraloth became a legend, a cautionary tale of hubris and the price of domination. Deep in the archives of the Central Command, a single entry remained classified, buried among thousands of reports: Kraloth language deciphered, evidence of advanced communication and strategy. But by then, it was too late. The apex predators were gone, their roars silenced forever, leaving humanity to face the chilling truth: the most dangerous predator in the galaxy wasn't the Kraloth, it was them. Once apex predators, until humans erased them, an HFY Sci-Fi short story ***, Part 2. The winds howled across the barren landscape that was once a thriving jungle. Towering trees, scorched and skeletal, stretched like broken fingers into a pale sky. The human settlement thrived in the distance, domed cities gleaming under artificial suns. What had once been the Kralotha's domain was now a sprawling colony, its ecosystem reshaped and subdued to suit human expansion. Elena Voss walked through the empty expanse, her boots crunching on the dry, cracked earth. Her retirement from military service hadn't silenced the voices in her head: the roars of the Kraloth, the screams of her soldiers, the quiet accusations of her conscience. "Captain Voss," came a voice through her comlink, snapping her back to the present. It was Dr. Kiro Nakamura, older now but no less enthusiastic about his work. "Are you close to the site? The readings are spiking again." "Yes," she replied, scanning the horizon. She adjusted her scanner, its green display flickering. Energy signatures, faint but unmistakable, pulsed beneath her feet. The dig site was a cavernous maw carved into the planet's surface. Once a Kraloth nesting ground, it had become a hub for research teams, who unearthed relics of the creature's existence: bones, ancient markings, and tools that hinted at intelligence far beyond what humanity had acknowledged. Elena descended into the depths, her flashlight illuminating the walls. Strange symbols glowed faintly, etched into the stone with precision. "Nakamura," she called, "these aren't just decorations, they're a language. We suspected as much. His voice crackled in her earpiece. But there's more. Deeper in the cavern, we found something extraordinary. At the heart of the cave lay a chamber unlike anything Elena had seen. Massive stone pillars supported a domed ceiling, where bioluminescent patterns pulsed in intricate sequences. In the center stood a device, clearly not of human design. "What is this?" Elena asked, running her fingers over its surface. It was smooth, warm to the touch, and thrummed with dormant energy. Dr. Nakamura appeared behind her, his face lit with awe. "We believe it's a memory core, a Kraloth construct. They may have stored their history here." As he spoke, the device flared to life. Holographic images filled the chamber, displaying scenes of the Kraloth in their prime, hunting, building, even conducting rituals. But the final sequence chilled Elena to her core. It showed the arrival of humans, ships descending from the sky, fire and destruction raining down. The Kraloth fought back, but the recordings made it clear, they understood their defeat. The last image was a gathering of Kraloth, their luminous eyes locked on the stars, as if speaking to something, or someone, beyond their world. "They knew we were coming," Elena whispered, "and they tried to warn someone." Weeks passed, and the discovery sent shockwaves through the human colonies. Central Command quickly suppressed the information, declaring it classified, but whispers spread. If the Kraloth had sent a message, who, or what, was it meant for? Elena couldn't shake the feeling of unease. She spent her nights poring over the symbols, decoding fragments of their language. One phrase appeared repeatedly, etched into every corner of the cavern, "the balance must be restored." And then the message came. It was subtle at first, strange energy readings from deep space, interference in communications, unexplained disappearances of scout ships. Scientists dismissed it as anomalies, but Elena knew better. One evening, as she stood alone on the colony's observation deck, the sky darkened unnaturally. A ship, massive and otherworldly, descended through the atmosphere, its silhouette unlike anything in human records. "They're here," she murmured. From the vessel emerged beings that dwarfed humans, their forms sleek and predatory, their eyes glowing with an unsettling intelligence. They resembled the Kraloth but were something more, an evolution, perhaps, or an allied species called to their aid. Humanity's weapons fired first, as they always did, but this time, it wasn't enough. The invaders moved with precision, dismantling defenses with terrifying ease. Elena watched from the observation deck, a mix of horror and awe washing over her. The Kraloth hadn't been alone in the galaxy, and humanity had declared war on something far greater than themselves. As the colony crumbled under the invaders' assault, Elena whispered the words she'd come to understand all too late: the balance must be restored. And in the cold void above, the stars burned on, indifferent as ever. Once apex predators, until humans erased them. An HFY Sci-Fi short story ***, Part 3. The stars above the dying colony flickered, cold and distant, as Elena Voss watched the devastation unfold. The towering ships of the invaders cut through the atmosphere with terrifying precision, their dark forms blotting out the sky. The world she had once known, the one built on the remnants of the Kraloth, was now falling apart, its infrastructure crumbling under the weight of humanity's arrogance. "Captain, we need to evacuate," shouted Lieutenant Sam Reyes, his voice urgent over the comlink. But Elena stood motionless, her gaze fixed on the destruction unfolding across the colony. A warship's laser blast tore through the ground, sending a shockwave of fire and debris into the air. She could feel the heat even from this distance. "It's too late," she said quietly. "This is the price of our ignorance." In the heart of the colony, the invaders were relentless. They moved with a sense of purpose, their actions coordinated and efficient, as though they were not simply punishing humanity for what they had done to the Kraloth but sending a message, a reminder of the price one paid when they disturbed the balance of life in the universe. The invaders were no mindless destroyers, they were an ancient species, a collective of beings that had watched over the galaxy for eons, ensuring that ecosystems and civilizations remained in harmony. The Kraloth had been one of their creations, a race of apex predators that had once served as guardians of this planet. But when humans arrived and began to hunt them for sport and study, the invaders had been forced to intervene. Elena's mind raced as she connected the dots. The Kraloth hadn't just been a species to conquer, they had been a part of something much larger, an ecosystem, a balance. And now, the invaders had come to restore that balance, to correct the disruption humanity had caused. The ground trembled beneath Elena's feet as she sprinted toward the command center, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the weight of the Kraloth's legacy bearing down on her, the ghosts of their once mighty civilization whispering through the cracks of the city. She had failed them, failed to understand that they weren't just predators but guardians of something sacred. And now, the universe was reclaiming what humanity had stolen. "Reyes, get the survivors to the evacuation ships," Elena ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "I'll handle the rest." "Captain, no, You can't stay behind, you'll be. Just do it, Reyes, Elena snapped, cutting him off. This is our responsibility, we broke it, we fix it. As Elena descended into the heart of the destroyed command center, she found herself face to face with the leader of the invaders, a towering figure that radiated power and intelligence. Its body was sleek and armored, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. There was no hostility in its gaze, only an understanding that transcended words. You came, Elena said softly, her voice a mixture of awe and fear, to correct what we did. The invader tilted its head slightly, as if considering her words. Then, in a voice that resonated in her mind as much as it did in her ears, it spoke. Balance is sacred. Disruption is a violation. Elena clenched her fists, a pang of guilt and realization washing over her. We didn't know. We didn't understand the Kraloth weren't just predators. They were part of something bigger. We didn't realize how fragile the balance was. The invader's gaze softened, though the gravity of its presence remained. The Kraloth were a keystone. You took the keystone, and the foundation crumbled. Elena swallowed hard. Is there any way we can undo it? Can we repair the damage? For a long moment, the invader was silent, its eyes scanning the broken world around them. Finally, it spoke again. The balance has already been shifted too far, but you may learn. If you wish, you may rebuild, if you choose. The evacuation was chaotic. A few human survivors made it to the ships, but for every life spared, there were many more lost to the invaders' relentless wrath. Elena watched from the observation deck as the final shuttle lifted into the sky, carrying the last remnants of humanity from the world they had destroyed. The invaders had been thorough, but they were not vengeful. They did not wipe humanity from the planet. Instead, they allowed the survivors to retreat, leaving them with a choice: rebuild on another world, or learn from their mistakes and return to the ruins of their past. Years later, humanity would reflect on that fateful day, when the balance of nature had been corrected, and they would wonder, had they truly learned? Would they ever understand the cost of their ambition? Or would they, like the Kraloth before them, one day become nothing more than a forgotten legend, erased by forces beyond their control? One thing was certain: humanity would never again see itself as the apex predator. They had learned, the hard way, that the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy were not the ones with the sharpest teeth or the strongest claws. They were the ones who thought they were the only ones who mattered. And now, the stars burned colder than ever.